The only two players that will miss the game tomorrow will be James Tompkins and Maka.
And in terms of some of maybe your other longer term, how's James McArthur coming along?
There's still a long way to go. I think we're talking about a couple of weeks.
And Nathan Ferguson, because we saw a little bit of him, didn't we, on Boxing Day, and then not seen him since.
He's has been training the last couple of days with the team, and he will be taking part of the game tomorrow.
So he wasn't injured, no?
he's training with the team, and he will be part of the team that will travel for the game tomorrow.
Okay, we will read into that what we will read into that. Patrick, whilst transfer window is still open, we're still going to get these questions. Mikel Arteta has said that Eddie Nketiah is staying at Arsenal. Does that mean it's the end of it?
I can tell you that Joachim Anderson will stay with Palace, that Marc Guéhi will stay. So I think every single manager have the right to say what will happen with those players. So it's not my way, or I have nothing to say about that comment.
So you aren't ruling it out, the arrival of Nketiah?
Why him? Why? I have nothing to say about him. I think he's a player, and he's an Arsenal player, and the manager make it clear that he's going to stay at Arsenal. So I have nothing to comment about that.
And in terms of having a couple of weeks left, what does a good window look like for you, Patrick? Where or numbers do you need to strengthen? We don't,
and we never spoke about numbers. Obviously, we are talking about try to improve the squad. We talk about which part of the team and the game that we need to improve. So I spoke a lot with the chairman. I spoke with Dougie about the feeling that I have and what we are missing in which part of the game that we will need to improve. But if it happens, it's good. If it doesn't happen, I'm pleased with the players that we have.
Which areas do you feel you're missing in?
I've given you too much information already.
You haven't given me anything already. Which areas, Patrick, and what are you missing?
This is the period, I think, that every manager will evaluate the squad, the team, and looking at what area of the game we need to improve. And I think one of them is when you're looking at the last game that we played at Millwall, and you're looking at how young we were, how inexperienced that team can be at time. We know that we have young talent, but those young talent need to be supported by players with a lot of experience. And I think it's always good for the manager and for myself to have different characteristics in different positions as well. And that is something that we need to work on, but it will take too long for me to go into more details.
And just finally, how big an opportunity is it for some of those young players? Okay, ideal, you prefer they have more experience, but with some of your players missing at the Africa Cup of Nations, it could be a big few weeks for some of them, couldn't it?
Yes, I think that is a good period for them to have some time and to show that they want to take part of the project of this football club. Young players, and we saw that Michael talent against Millwall, and Eze is coming back from injuries, and now he's fit to start game, to play. We have different options up front, and in the midfield we saw Reid Hughes, who's getting better and better. So having those players going to the African Cup of Nations will give some of them the opportunity to have more time on the field.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. We'll go to Premier League Productions, Max Whittle.
Hi, Patrick.
Hello, Max.
The game looks so natural for Michael against Millwall, as you said there. You've been there yourself in your 20s in the Premier League. How will you go about managing his progression?
No, I think he's keep doing what he's been doing since he's joined the football club. And even in his previous club, we heard a lot about his desire to improve as a player, and his work ethic, it's always been fantastic. So we need to give him time to keep developing himself. When you look at the two games, the two half against Millwall, the first one, you can see that it was really difficult for him to find the space, and in the second half, he was much better. So that kind of experience, he need that, and that come with time as well. The potential is show how good he can be.
You talked about Will Hughes there as well, with your some of your players involved with the Africa Cup of Nations. What have you asked of Will in midfield?
No, it's to play with his strength. I think he's somebody who is really comfortable on the ball, and I will want him to get more involved in the game and to touch more the ball. He's somebody who can play as a holding midfielder, who he can play a little bit more higher. He's smart to find the space that allowed him to get on the ball, but he's somebody that can help the teams to be more fluid in our game.
And since that dramatic 1-1 draw back in September against Brighton and all that came with it, how much have you and the players been looking forward to this one on Friday?
I think this is the kind of games that players, fans are really excited and looking forward to it. The last game that we played at home and the last minute equalization still in our mind. And, we will go there with the same kind of ideas of playing and try to give ourselves the best chance to have a positive result.
And finally, what in particular stands out from that match that you would like to see again or not particularly like to see again?
No, I think we played in the front foot. We tried to dominate the possession, even if we know that it's going to be challenging because this is a team who like to have the ball as well. So it's going to be a challenging game for us, but we will be ready for it. It's an exciting game for us, and we're really looking for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alex Howe, BBC Sport.
Hi, Patrick. Just a question about Michael Elise. Obviously, you're without Wilfried Zaha, who's at AFCON. Did his performance in the second half show that he is ready or developing to be the main man to be called upon for the team?
No, I don't think he's ready at all, because in the second half, he had a really good game, but I like to look at the full game. And in the first half was quite challenging for him. We know the potential is there, and he will have time on the field to keep developing himself, because training is one thing, but play a game is something different for those young players. So he will have his time, and what is important for him is to keep working well in training every day and to play a game to keep developing himself.
So is this period while he can get the games really important in helping him to become the player he could be?
Yes, and it will be up to him about how hard he's going to be. He's going to be prepared to sacrifice himself to full that potential, and we will give him that support as a football club, as a manager, and he will come. There's no doubt about it, because he's a player that want to improve, and we have to keep being demanding on him, because he has the talent to perform.
And Brighton tomorrow, what do you take from the last match going into this one?
I think it was a game that both teams had their moment, and we managed to score, and we lost a little bit our momentum, our togetherness, and they went through a really good period. But when you play against a team that play well in possession, you expect to go through a difficult period. So it's going to be important for us, like we did it in the first game. It's to defend well as a team and to be really brave when we have the ball and try to hurt them and try to play forward and scoring goals. And that is what we're going to try to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ian Abrahams, TalkSport.
Thanks, Joe. Good afternoon, Patrick. How are you?
I'm good, Ian. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, my friend. Do your team need to start games better? conceded the first goal at Millwall. Obviously, with 3 down home to West Ham.
No, I don't say that we need to start the game well. I think what we need to do is try to score that first goal. I think our game that we started, started quite well. It's just because we didn't take our chances. I think we created enough chances to score the first goal, and we didn't. It was the case against West Ham, and it was the case against Millwall. We had some situation where we didn't score that goal. And of course, when you are going through a good period in the game and you don't score goals, when you're going through a difficult period, this is where we concede goals. But we always find the strength to get back into the game, and sometimes it's too late.
Is that a part of football which has changed massively since you played? The importance of the first goal?
Yeah, the importance of the first goal, but I think in the game, you are in a good period. And when you are in a good period, you have to take those chances. And we didn't do it really often. And this is why I think when you create those chances, you need to score the first goal.
The away form, apart from the standout win at Man City, it could be better. Is this a good opportunity to start making sure that the form you have at home, you take on the road with you?
Yes, it has to be better. I think we are quite really pleased with the way that we play at home and the results that we had at home, and we need to improve our away record.
You mentioned you've spoken about Will Hughes, and we've spoken quite a lot this season about Conor Gallagher. 2 midfielders that I think most teams in the league would like to have. In terms of them playing together and their partnership, what are you hoping in the second half of the season you can get out of them that you haven't already got out of them in the first half?
Yeah, I think this is one of the partnership that need to improve because they may not played a lot of games together. And, we have as well Luca, we have Jairo is here, you have Jeff as well. But I have to say that I'm really pleased with Will's performance since he started playing.
And finally, you came in and you've taken the first half of the season to really get a lot of young players playing in the team. You've spoken about Michael Elise. I know you got Brighton Eze back as well. It's a very exciting team. But with that, do you have to appreciate yourself as a manager? There's going to be inconsistency. I mean, however good they are, they can't be great every week yet.
Yes, I think it's me as a manager, is the fans, is the football club, knowing that, yes, it is a young squad and consistency, it's coming with experience as well about how to manage those games. And when you're looking at the front three that we had at Millwall, we're talking about really young players with not so much experience in the Premier League or in the Championship, I would say. So we need to work hard with them, and we have to be patient. So that's why it is really important for us as a football club, for me as a manager, to manage the expectation.
So just off the back of that, have you set yourself a time span of when you think we'll see the best of it? A year, year and a half?
No, I'm really pleased with where we are at the moment, but there's still more to come from those talent that we have. And that will come as well with experience, playing more games, developing themselves, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes. And it's important for those players to have a strong unity around them, to give them that support and to allow them to make those mistakes to improve. And that's why it will be important for us to manage the expectation.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Patrick. Good seeing you again.
Thank you. George Sessions, PA.
Hi, Patrick. Good to speak to you. Can you go into a little bit more detail about James Tompkins missing tomorrow? Because if that's a long-term one, potentially that could leave you a little bit light in defence.
Is an injury, and we need to wait and see how it will improve. and obviously not having him with us is losing an experienced player as well in the dressing room, on the field. So we just have to evaluate the injuries week after week.
If that is one that could be a couple of months potentially, could that force you into trying to bring in a centre back as
Hopefully it will be just a couple of weeks, not months.
And just on Vicente, he wasn't on the bench last weekend. Was that just giving him the sort of weekend off, given it was a cup game, or was that a slight injury?
He wasn't ready and he wasn't fit enough to play the game.
But all fine for Brighton tomorrow.
Hopefully, yes.
And just on Brighton, it's been quite a while since Palace finished below Brighton, finished above them the last few years, and since they've been in the Premier League, especially. Brighton are three places, 4 points ahead of you. Is that kind of a big target to sort of finish above Brighton this season, or are you looking for more than that?
No, there is no target to finish above any teams. I think we know where we are, and what we want to do is to challenge ourselves and to finish as high as we can. We can't think about finishing above this team or that team. We know that we want to be competitive every week, and there's going into the second phase of the Premier League. It's important for us to try to improve of those details about the way we want to play. That will help us to improve our record away from home, and this is one of the aspects of the game that we will need to improve.
Thanks, Patrick. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, George. Nick Godwin, BBC Radio London.
Hi, Patrick. Quite a lot's happened to your Palace team since the last game against Brighton. Do you feel that your team has kind of changed, matured, improved since the last time you played them?
Mature, yes, because when we play games, players improve, and I learn a lot about the players as well. And I think we are in a better place, yes, but it's still a long way to go. We're gonna have a difficult game tomorrow because of the way they play the game, and I think the project where they are, we're still behind, I would say. And but yes, tomorrow is going to be an exciting game for us, and again, we are really looking forward to the game.
You must have been really pleased with the way your team dealt with the really difficult atmosphere at Millwall, and it proves, I suppose, that your team can cope in these very, very intense, hostile atmospheres. You can take an awful lot of what you did against Millwall into the Brighton game. Yeah,
of course, we want to focus on playing and developing our game and improving ourselves. And at Millwall, we were really concentrating and focusing about winning that game. And I think we, especially in the second half, did quite well.
And just finally, just listening to you talk about the transfer window, and I know you don't want to give too much away, it does sound like you'd like a little bit more experience in that Palace squad. Is that a fair thing to say, do you think, even though you don't want to give too much away?
I think you summarized quite well my thought.